So this is just a picture of some of our food. Burger 809 is a law started by myself. I own Burger 809. We just celebrated 10 years in business this year. Thank you. Thank you. 1 year at its current location. I don't have like a big food background. Just my experience with food have been more so to help me nurture and grow myself. I was always a shy person, and so I found food as a connector. And so I would show up with like a treat or something, cookies, just kind of to break the bread and be able to better communicate with people and connect people. I got my BA in communication from Lindenwood University a few years ago, and I finished my MBA last year. Also, I'm a certified sexual health counselor, and that is kind of where I began to wanting to do something that kind of was a little lighter. So Monday to Friday, I was a counselor, and on the weekends, I would just start cooking and catering for friends and family, and then eventually small businesses. And one day I landed a catering contract that was for one night, a couple hours, and it was like my monthly salary at work. And so then I knew, something, okay, this could be more than just a hobby. And so Burger 809 was born. And so it was in my little 300 square foot kitchen that I decided to go all in with the business. I would work Monday through Friday, and on weekends I would open this small brick and mortar we had on Cherokee Street. You can literally walk in and order your food and just leave out. There was no room for anything else. And so you can stretch your arms out and touch both walls. And so that was just like a small, like a test kitchen, as I would call it, for us to kind of see if this business concept would really work. And so I was in that kitchen. I had a client crisis, and then I also had an order for a couple sliders. And I knew that something was going to suffer. I would not be able to fill the burger order, or because the client was in emotional distress. And so at that time, I knew that I wanted to go all in with the business. And so in 2019, that's when we went all in, and then COVID happened. It was just motivation to kind of keep going and be creative. Nobody knew how to handle this epidemic, and so it was almost like a learning platform while I was in school working on my MBA. So it's a little bit about myself. The mission of Burger 809 is to elevate the food service industry. My first job, I worked at White Castle, because it was just kind of something close in the area. And what I loved about them was like the cleanliness and how everything was stainless steel, and that every White Castle location had a washer and dryer. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And so just taking concepts from places I worked at, things I liked, and also performing Burger 809. And so White Castle taught me my cleanliness, how to organize, how to get out 500 sliders within an hour. I also had a part-time job at Rally's, and that's when like the Big Buford first came out, and I love the Big Buford. It's the biggest, amazing burger on the market. And so I was able to work a double drive-through, again, that speed of service, work a wrapping technique, and just very basic stuff, but I found, fun in those things, while also just working on the jobs and also fine dining mix. And so Burger 809 is a mixture of that casual fast food, but also my fine dining background, working fine dining in high school. And so as a counselor, it was challenging to kind of connect with people who were having crisis. And I was like trying to find a way to how to bring them to the table. And so I would always do lunch meetings or dinner meetings, and that's how I engage my customers. And so, back into a counseling session, and we'll bond over chicken or salad or something like that. And so that was just my way. Always food is a fellowship and a connector of people. And so that's why our mission is all about providing a great dining experience with high quality ingredients, no matter who you are. If you're a high-level CEO, or just somebody who is inside of a life crisis and is needing somebody to talk to and somebody to navigate the next step as their life coach. And so our vision is just to make sure that every customer leaves inspired. And so I know when you walk through those doors, you're coming in for food. You're not coming in for counseling, you're not coming in for directions, maybe sometimes, but you're coming in for food. And so you may be coming in for food when you're on lunch break, you're coming in when you're at court, you're coming in with a doctor's appointment, you're just hanging out with friends and family. And so I wanted to make sure that all those experiences were honored. And eating is a very intimate experience. And I wanted just to focus in on that and just to let everybody know that I was honored and appreciated them. And so, I test out, sometimes I look in the dining room and I look out and see how people are eating. They're having a good time. And oftentimes people come back and want to ask, how can I host an event here? How can I get this delivered to my office? I want to come back here and promote my art show. And so that is how we leave our customers inspired. And, just eating a burger is very transformative, I found. We're currently in the process now of losing our location. Our lease was terminated prematurely, which happens, but it's at a time now where we're actually growing. However, this challenge, could make or break the business. And so I'm hoping that we can find a home to transition to before December so that we won't have to halt business operations. And so working with anybody I can put my hands on, realtors, key community leaders to try to help us navigate this next challenge. And so wanted to keep doing what we're doing, but also bring it to the next level. And so we're hoping to move into a space or identify a location by December. Is that people are really intentional about their spending, intentional about where they're going and how they're spending their time. And so we really want to kind of hone in on that. And so it's making those connections with customers. We did something like that nobody really did. Probably didn't announce it, but we lowered our prices at a time when everybody else was raising their prices. And I had to get really creative on how to do that because it really didn't make any sense and we were needing the revenue, but how do you lower the prices? My goal for that was just kind of simplify the menu more. And so instead of adding Kobe Jack cheese to all the sliders, we put American cheese on a couple of them. And so if you still wanted that premium, elevated Kobe Jack cheese and jalapeno bacon jam that we make in-house from scratch, you can still get that, but also there was a $4 slider option. And so only $1 cheaper, but we didn't, lose money on it, just replacing the cheese and just small things like that. Some cost-related challenges, like everybody's labor is high, and so you're also, wanting to require more of your staff, and so we had to make a decision of increasing salary. And so we run a small team, but everybody has a bigger role, and the ultimate goal is guest satisfaction. And so whether you're a cook, cashier, host, also / guest experience. And so just maximizing hourly wages to $16.50. And then everybody is focused on that core customer retention. And so they're getting exceptional service, and it's, bringing repeat customers and also new customers in. And so trying to figure out ways to do stuff in-house so we can kind of maximize the third and fourth parties who are taking a cut of revenue when it's already squeezed tight. So those are a little bit of our problems and solutions explored. And again, just kind of focusing on some of those global consumer trends. And so I often look around, but also look bigger in a bigger landscape, not just in St. Louis, but in neighboring cities, but also in what are they doing in the UK? What are the trends there? And so again, I've seen that our hours are lunchtime because primarily our customer base right now is lunchtime, but we are open and willing to expand those hours. But we do see that most consumers are preferring the elevated daytime social experience versus that nightlife where, people just are kind of going for home-based events. It doesn't make them feel good. We see a lot of corporate franchise chains popping up, which make things difficult. However, local is still key. People want to be called by their name when they walk into a business. They want to know that their order is familiar, that their dollar is staying local. And so that's one of the positives that we see being constant. So again, while the industry projects about $1.5 trillion of revenue to enter the restaurant industry, very few dollars, trickle down for profits. And so again, that's where I want to figure out how we can reduce costs and make products and services that bring in revenue and keep revenue in the restaurant. And that is pretty much it. Just a small synopsis of Burger 809, what we are and who we are. And so it's more than just burgers. We're in the business of hospitality, embracing customers, and connecting people. And that's my presentation. And I thank you all so much.